So this is where you caught all those great fish from my aquarium.
Yeah, fish right here. I bet you'll catch a big one.
Yeah!
You need a bigger tank!
Welcome to Mile High Reefers. I'm Scott Anderson, and as you can see, I had to throw the shark back. He just didn't fit. What you gonna do? Get a bigger tank? That'd be great. I really need one. And in fact, today we're fragging coral because no matter how much I change my lighting around now, I can no longer light around my coral growth. So today we're cutting coral to save coral. A lot of these colonies are overgrown, especially like these big toadstools, but they're on their own special path. And as you can see, the big guy on top has already been cut down, and those are gonna be their own set of videos. I always try to go into a project like this with a plan. So on top, we're gonna pull the Seriatopora colony and the Passalopora colony, and we're going to cut them down a lot. These are big, fast-growing corals, so we're gonna give them room to grow. The Monties, we're just gonna trim back. So it's hard to see, but if you look down here, you can see where things were fragged off last time, and everything's grown out another 3 or 4 inches, and that's why everything's being shadowed. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull both of these big colonies, cut these frog spawn down to where they're relatively short, and then we're gonna glue them back in place. I'm gonna lose my look, but I'm gonna make a lot of space. It always seems like when I do this kind of work, nothing goes 100% to plan. So I'm planning on things falling, breaking, dropping, and I'm already prepared to fix it. To do this, I needed super glue, and I needed a lot. So I went to the dollar store and I bought, well, all of it. I bought every tube they had. So sorry guys in Greeley, I bought all the glue. When doing this style of fragging, I like to work top down. I'm planning on stuff falling, breaking, so I'd rather break stuff I haven't fixed yet. All right, let's pull some coral out. This huge colony is less than a year old. And it's big, it's huge. Oh, we got, all right, one down. And what do you know, we already got a piece here. This might be enough just to start another colony from. We might just use that. Now let's get the Passalopora out of here. Oh, we even got a piece behind. So now we'll bust this little frag of Passalopora off. A little tiny thing. I don't know if we're gonna use that one or not. And we're gonna trim this Monty back pretty heavily. I really love this Montipora. It just plates out a little too much. There's a nice little chunk of it. And we're not as bad on this side. So this is the side we're gonna leave a little growth on. The idea is I wanna keep this species in here and let it grow. I just wanna provide light to the stuff below it. And I can already see it's still not bright enough. I'm actually doing this in the day when all the halides and LEDs and everything, oops, that was too much. But you know what, we're gonna make that work, and that's our best lighting option. We've got one more coral left to cut, and that's this green one. It's not shadowing much out yet, but I don't like its growth pattern, although I didn't like that cut at all. Now this stuff never quite goes to plan, but we'll fix it. I think that's perfect. This green Monty is the coolest stuff, but I can't see it, so we'll frag it and we'll fix that. I've kind of got things laid out. We're gonna add a few extra coral there and change things up. But before we glue stuff in, we're gonna take the frog spawn apart. So now we're good to pull these 2 massive frog spawn colonies and cut those up into a reasonable size. And then we'll glue everything from bottom up, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. All right, now we're gonna pull these 2 big colonies and we'll see what's behind it. I should be wearing gloves because Oh, my hands are gonna hurt after this. It's gonna, oh wow, these are attached to the rock. All right, that's always a good thing. Huh? We just frag something, there we go. Look at that, not a bad size colony. And we can grab this one here, which appears to be significantly smaller, but just as well glued in. Oh, we broke it, that's all right. That's what we're gonna do anyways. And I think we'll leave the hammers alone. They're not shading anything too bad. So you can see the issues I'm having with the growth. Look how long these stalks are. So I'm getting crazy growth, and this is just the frog spawn chasing the light. But as you can see, these polyps are so packed together that that's really the only growth I'm getting is out. So we're gonna cut them shorter. We're gonna put fewer in there. That way they can grow outwards instead of, or sorry, towards each other instead of straight out. They're gonna do that anyways, but I think we can slow that down and we can make a lot of room for a lot of light, and we should get more heads of coral as a nice bonus out of this deal. To cut the coral, I'm using a tile saw. This thing's old, it's rusty, and that's exactly what I use this for. But it holds up, and it's so much faster than a bandsaw for most things I do. And if you've ever tried cutting zoas, big zoa colonies, get one of these. You'll hate your life if you use a bandsaw. But here, we can fire these up, and we're gonna start by cutting big pieces. The idea is just to give us something to work with. If we try to make the right size cut off of the whole colony, we're gonna struggle. But we can just kind of cut these at just a convenient point. It really doesn't matter. And we're just trying to get a nice flat edge that we can actually cut against or glue against. So you can see, that's how much skeleton we're throwing away. Ah, that head might be salvageable. Let's do it. That's frog spawn. Frog spawn is valuable these days. All right. So now the goal is to cut these up even more. That size there, that's not bad. We're actually gonna hold on to that one. This guy, I think we can cut down a little more. There we go. What we're looking for is this nice flat bottom. These are great for mounting to a frag plug or to a rock. If we have extras, we'll cut these down into individual polyps. But for the tank, I want this because this is gonna help fill things out and look grown in, which is what I want. This guy, we can do a nice short single head on. He'll be perfect. These guys, let's just cut it here. Let's try to keep that piece together and see what that looks like in the tank. We've taken a lot of growth up. I don't think it's gonna be too bad. Same here, just something nice that we can short, that we can glue to the rock. All right, see how much extra skeleton we have here to get our polyps the way they look? There, now it'll glue against the rock. Perfect. So now you can see how much coral is left. We took a lot of material out of there. That's the ticket. We're trying to take material out so we can keep the same amount of coral, but have it shorter and more efficiently used. Now you can see where I took those frog spawn out. I got a bunch of brown pallies in there and some mushrooms behind it. I'm gonna PPE up and I'm gonna pull those the best I can. Guaranteed we're not gonna get them all. It's time to start gluing those frog spawn back in. My battery died while I was gluing up the frog spawn. So now we're looking at the tank with everything fragged. Now I didn't go ahead and change the battery while I was working on it. I was covered in glue, I was soaking wet. I just had to focus on fragging. So this project went almost exactly as I thought it would. I glued things on from the bottom and worked my way up. The problem is if you work your way down, you end up breaking all the stuff off at the top that you've already glued on. So I ended up breaking my uluphilia off, which wasn't that big of a deal because it gave me the opportunity to glue everything back on. Then I glued on a new frag, that's Micra Musa. I've actually had that one for a long time, but it's brand new there. And while I was breaking stuff, my big purple Favia fell off. Now this thing's a pain because it's a big heavy thing and hard to glue back up. But it was a blessing in disguise. If you see that edge there, it's kind of dying off. Well, that's because where it was placed, it couldn't get any light there. So I used this opportunity to turn the coral so that it can recover in this low light section. It should work out really well. The frog spawn are the main reason we are here, and as you can see, they're all cut real short, but I got them all in. So every frag I cut up is here. So I have the same amount of coral, it's just pushed back against the rock. So that should mean light can go down, and yet I still get a similar look to what I had before. On the bottom, I have these killer green frog spawns. So I fragged 2 heads off while I was doing all of this, and I glued those frog spawn up here. Now they've got a place to grow, they can fill out, and these are some of my favorites in the tank. So I don't have many heads because they didn't have room to grow. Up top, I just put a little tiny frag of Pocillopora back and a little frag of Seriatopora back. These are fast growing corals and I want room for more coral than just that. This gave me the opportunity to add a piece of that bright pink with blue polyp Monty in here. Doesn't look like much now, but wait till it gets up to the light. And then in the back, I've got a piece of Immortal Tort I've glued on there. But what this did is it opened up this section you're looking at right here for more frags. Now my Setosa is well lit, the Leptoceras is well lit. I added that frag of Favia. Now I've got room to add more frags so I can grow more coral. And while I was at it, I opened up this colony of Monipora spongoda. I cut this whole edge off so that it'd open up the light for the Monties below, and then I opened it up so the Bavona can grow out. These are all gorgeous corals that I don't want overgrown. And there's the full tank shot. It's kind of ugly right now, but I just finished fragging. You know the old saying, you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs? Well, I broke some eggs. This is gonna look worse before it looks better. But I opened up space, I added new frags, I've got more light so that coral that was dying can thrive. It's a much better thing to do. Over the next few months, I'll be cutting these leathers up to make more room, so this tank will slowly be evolving. So thanks for watching this episode of Mile High Reefers. Like, comment, subscribe. And if you want to see this tank in its full glory, all open and beautiful, come back for the next tank update.